Look at my baby. He's swaddled. He's swaddled. Wrap my baby in the swaddle.
How do you like the shopping cart? How you feeling? Okay?
Yeah, I feel good. I would tell you.
Kind of counting on you for that.
I think it'll be easier to say, let me sit down, than to say, can you get me up?
Right. I like your thinking.
This is pretty good. I want to turn around though.
Go ahead.
Hey y'all. So my husband's been asking me for a while to make a video and just talk to you guys about where I am since I've come from the hospital. And I will say it's been a journey. I want to say thank you for everyone who's been praying for me. It's been challenging, more so because of two things. First of all, when I had my baby, I had so many high expectations, and I had the best surgical team, and it was just a beautiful experience to be able to have my baby, and my husband was there. He was a great support, and everything went so well. And then it was devastating to me that in the days that followed, so many things went so wrong so fast. And when I first held my baby, he was 6 pounds. When I held him again, he was 7, almost 8 pounds. And it just was like very hard to deal with. When I brought him home from the hospital, he was breastfeeding and nursing, and then I was told not to do it anymore because of the medications they had me on. And, I just felt cheated as a mother. I felt like I wasn't really able to be his mom the way I wanted to be. And I had to continue to tell myself, like, be thankful for the fact that you're alive and that you're able to hold him and hug him and love him again. But it's been hard. And there are moments where I'll be sleeping, I'll feel like I can't catch my breath. And when I talked to my doctor, she was like, in a lot of traumatic situations, the trauma can last for weeks. The nightmares may last for weeks. Those feelings may last for weeks. And I'm like, sometimes you feel like you're suffocating. Yeah. What happened was, I was, during my pregnancy, I had preeclampsia. And preeclampsia is a condition where your blood pressure begins to rise and you have complications with bringing the blood pressure down. And I've always had it, but this particular time I had started taking blood pressure medicine earlier in the pregnancy to try to manage it and keep it where it was at a place where I wouldn't have to have any side effects. And after I had my baby, my blood pressures were okay. So I didn't want to take like a diuretic or anything that would bring fluid off my body because I wanted to be able to breastfeed. Make a long story short, my blood pressures began to rise to like numbers that were ridiculous over days. And I went from taking 200 milligrams of one medicine to 2 times a day to 600 milligrams of that same medicine 3 times a day. And then I went from not having a second medication to having 25 milligrams of a second medication twice a day. Then it was 100 milligrams of that second medication twice a day. And they were managing the blood pressures, and it seemed like things were okay. So I was discharged and able to go home with my baby, and I was so happy. Then after that happened, I got home and I began to feel like I couldn't breathe. And my son, he was nursing, but he was also supplemental fed with bottles. And I kind of believe in my heart that if he was kind of nursing faster, that it might have been different. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But I got home and my chest began to hurt. And over the course of 2 days, I went from being able to like walk and go to the bathroom to not being able to even breathe to do that. And it was challenging. It was like, it's so degrading sometimes to feel like I can't get dressed, I can't put my clothes on, I'm just like over it. And it has nothing to do with my size, because I've had 3 kids prior to this child, and it just was like devastating to me. So I remember the Friday that I ended up going to the hospital, we went to take my baby to his appointment that morning, and I couldn't even walk in the building. I'm like grabbing for the walls and grabbing for everything around me and praying like, whew, help me. I couldn't walk a few steps without getting winded. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I finally made it back to the car, and I went to my appointment. And I get to my appointment, and they're checking me, and they're like, something's not right. You know, I'm like, what? My doctor's like, I need you to go over to the emergency room. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the emergency room. Those who don't know, my sister died in October, and it was already challenging for me to go to the hospital to have the surgery. Like, every day up to the day I had my son, I just kept feeling like I was going to suffocate. The anxiety, just praying like, Lord, I don't want to die. I just want to be here. You know, I want to see my kids grow up. And I know my sister died. She was 35 years old of heart failure, and her heart just stopped. So I'm like, no, I made it through the surgery. I'm believing that I'm going to make it further. I'm not going back to the hospital. Well, make a long story short, I walked out to my van, and I literally could not breathe. Like, I cut the air conditioner up in the car, and it was like oxygen for me. Like, I couldn't breathe. I made it to my house, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go upstairs. And I looked, and I'm like, I'm not going to make it up those stairs. So I changed my mind. I was going to go to the doctor and just get checked at least, so they could tell me that, you know, something. I called for my transportation, and, you know, I made it to the outside of the hospital. And I remember getting out of the transportation and leaning up against the person's car, and then thinking, oh, how am I going to get in this building? And I looked over, and there was a little girl sitting there. She said, ma'am, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And that's when I hit the ground, and I saw all of these nurses come running and come grabbing me and getting me into a wheelchair and pushing me to the back and instantly taking me all the way back. And they were like, this is such and such patient. And they began to move me so quickly through the hospital. And I had, they started testing me for things like right then, EKGs, blood was being drawn. It was just so many pokes and prods instantly. It was like, and then I remember looking over at my nurse, and I'm like, I can't breathe. And I'm trying to tell her that I can't breathe, and I just like that, and that was it. Next thing I know, I woke up 4 days later, and in that time, it's still hard to talk about it. In that time, I was told, you know, they called my husband and had him sign off the paperwork about what I wanted to happen in my life, and that has been so hard to deal with. Like, no. My husband posted and sent messages to family to come out and visit me, and my own blood sister never showed up, and that part has like literally broke my heart every day since I've been home, because it doesn't matter who you love or how much you love them. In those moments where you need people the most, they may not show up. And that has been so hard for me to deal with. Like, I'm big on forgiveness, and I know that God is going to get me to a place where I can finally, like, look at her in the face, but right now it ain't it. So those of y'all out there, y'all pray for me. But anyway, long story short, my husband posted a video for y'all to pray for me, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. It's been very hard since I got home. I remember when I first woke up and they were taking out the tubes. That was like, it was hard. You can't swallow. and they give you stuff to try to test, just little soft things, and then over first like water, then they test you with ice chips, then they test you with applesauce, and they move on to like softer things, and they do this for a while. And then they come and they draw blood every hour on the hour, and I had an IV line in my neck. Yeah, and 2 days later was the first time I was able to get up and try my legs out, and my legs felt like they weren't there. I remember asking, like, for every angel that I could think of to come and help me. My daddy, my uncle, who just be with me, send me back. I remember God saying, God, please. That was the last thing I remember saying in my mind. Not verbally, but in my mind, I remember saying, God, please. Because I don't believe that my time is up. And there's so much more I want to do. Well, anyway, because I ain't going to cry your heads off. I thank God because I'm still here. And no matter how hard it is and how much of a challenge I face on a regular basis to get through the day, I'm still here, and I'm still making it one day at a time.